folks. Welcome back to the channel. I am yours truly, and today I want to talk about what's next for the Big 12. Now, a couple of days ago, I made a video saying what the Pac-12 should do next. Now it's going to be the Big 12's turn. So, as we know, Colorado went from the Pac-12 to the Big 12 officially. So, now the Pac-12 is down to 9, and the Big 12's up to 13 now. And starting in 2024, I meant to say. So, according to sources, the Big 12 is looking to add 1 to 3 more teams to make the number of teams even. And that does make sense because although the NCAA got rid of divisions and the conferences no longer have to play divisions, it still makes sense to have an even number of teams, especially when it comes to scheduling, because if you want to have a structured scheduling format, if you have an odd number of teams, it would make no sense. For example, the ACC now has a 3-5-5 schedule where you have 3 permanent teams you play every year regardless, 5 teams you play each, or 5 teams you play that year, and then the other 5 you play in the next year, and it goes back and forth. And I think even the Big Ten is doing a 3-6-6 format once USC and UCLA come into the conference. So between the ACC and the Big Ten, they have an even number of teams. You really can't do that if you have an odd number of teams. So it does make sense that the Big 12 wants to add at least 1 more team to 3 more teams. Now, well, I've also heard that ESPN has told the Big 12 that they would only allow them to add 1 more team for their TV deal. I don't know how true that is. Personally, I think Big 12 is going to add 3 more teams to, try to catch up with the other 2 conferences. Now, SEC, Big 10, they're juggernauts, but the Big 12 is positioning itself to be the 3rd biggest conference in the country, and you got to think Big 10 and SEC is going to expand to 20, especially the Big 10. So you got to play catch up with them. If you just add 1, then you're going to be chasing after them. And you still are as far as the money, but as far as brand size and all that, you pretty much be on par with the SEC and Big 10. Like I said, you're not going to be able to catch them as far as money or brand recognition, but you can still try your best. So, if they go with 1 team, right now the leading contender to move conferences is Arizona. Now, Arizona is a public university, so I imagine they're going to have to go through the same process as Colorado versus, as far as having their board meetings public, due to Arizona being a public school and having to let the Arizona Board of Regents know what's going on. So I think it's going to take longer than if it was a private university. And I've heard sources say that Arizona is going to be announcing they're going to move to the Big 12 as soon as Tuesday. I've also heard sources that Arizona is either going to wait another couple weeks or not even move at all. So, in other words, nobody knows what Arizona is going to do. The thing with Arizona is, the reason I would say they're probably going to go on the move. I think Arizona is going to be moving. I think they're just waiting on either the numbers from Pac-12 or they're waiting on Arizona State. Let's see, not saying that they're dependent off of Arizona State, but the Big 12 might see them as like a package deal where they don't want to add Arizona by itself. Because Arizona, even though they're decent, they're not terrible at football, but basketball, they're a powerhouse in the Pac-12, and they're really going to be the only powerhouse once USC and UCLA leave for the Big 10 next year. So that's the issue with Arizona. They're a powerhouse, but they don't have no competition, really. It just stinks in the Pac-12. And Pac-12 basketball already it was already mediocre at best. Um, enough of that. I think Arizona is on the move. It's just a matter of when. Um, I'm I'm probably saying not as soon as Tuesday. No, because it's for Arizona. It's going to take them longer to move over because of all the legal red tape they have to get through with them being a public university and have to let the state of Arizona know. That type of deal. And I think they would be, and I think the Big 12 will be satisfied. Now, if the Big 12 doesn't get Arizona, or Arizona doesn't want to move, another leading contender is the UConn. Now, with UConn, their basketball program is pretty elite. They just won the NCAA title in basketball. It's yeah, but their football program is pretty mediocre. Now they've been getting a little bit better at football, so that's up to you to decide whether that's just a 1 year flare or it's just a sign of progress. So with the advantages of UConn, it allows the Big 12 to get into the New York market. This to me screams a Brett Yormark move because he comes from an executive position with the Brooklyn Nets. So I think this screams a Brett Yormark move. Uh, the disadvantage is the travel because let's face it, UConn's all the way in Connecticut, and if it's a lot of flight miles they would have to encounter if they had to make a road trip to say Colorado or BYU. Um, the travel is going to be outrageous, especially if they add football to their comfort to the basically add UConn as a full on member rather than just a basketball only member. That's and I think ESPN would have a problem with UConn being into in the football conference because like I mentioned before, they have a pro rata clause with ESPN if the Big 12 adds Power 5 members. That pro rata clause doesn't go into effect if you add Group of 5 schools. What pro rata means is escalation clause, meaning that the Big 12 can go back to the ESPN table and negotiate for a bigger payout if they add Group of 5 teams. So that's why Arizona's top of the list because it allows Big 12 to possibly go to ESPN or go to Fox and get a bigger, or especially ESPN because they hold the tier 1 rights for the Big 12. It allows them to go to the table and get a bigger payout. Now, obviously, with the Big 12, they would have to get permission from ESPN and Fox because they're the ones signing the checks to say, hey, if we add this team, would you be happy with it? That type of deal. Now, the tricky part is if Big 12 decides to go to 3 teams. So one of the leading rumors is that if they go to 3 teams, excuse me, I can't talk today. The Big 12 would likely add Arizona, Washington, Oregon. Arizona I'm fine with, but the big question along with some of the Big 12 fans and some college fans in general is how loyal is Oregon and Washington going to be if they do decide to join the Big 12? Because it's pretty much an open secret that Oregon and Washington is waiting on an invite from the Big 10. And you gotta know the Big 10 is going to look to expand one day, and especially out to the West Coast to help out USC and UCLA with travel costs. So that's big. That's the biggest question with Washington and Oregon is how loyal is Washington and Oregon going to be to the Big 12? Because the Big 12 is looking to just get the realignment done and over with. They don't want to keep having to go through adding teams into their conference because they want people that is going to stay faithful to the Big 12. And that's a big concern is how faithful is Oregon and Washington going to be if, say, the Big 10 is open to expansion again, and they decide to add Oregon and Washington, would Oregon and Washington go to the Big Ten? Most likely, yes. And then the Big 12 would be back at 14 again. So it would be it's almost like a crown jewel prize for the Big 12, but at what cost for the Big 12? I mean, who knows? Oregon and Washington might stay the Big 12. It could happen, but I just don't see that happening because they've been wanting to get in the Big Ten. The Big Ten's done said, well, we're not open to new teams, so thanks, but no thanks, Oregon and Washington. So that's kind of the dream scenario on surface level: Oregon, Washington, Arizona. However, if you're looking for loyalty to the conference or people that's going to be stable and you're going to stick with your conference, I think the three teams you probably would have to add is going to be Arizona, Arizona State, and the third team from there is going to be tricky. You would think Utah, but Utah's done pretty much said, oh, we're going to ride or die with the Pac-12. Basically, they're saying we're going to stick with the Pac-12 until it falls apart, and then hopefully the Mountain West picks us up again. Which is stupid, I think, in that logic. Yeah, you're staying faithful to the conference. That's not an issue. The issue is you're basically saying it's too faithful and relegating yourself back down to a group of five university rather than looking at the bigger picture and say, hey, maybe the Pac-12 is lying to us and they don't have anything in the works. We need to look at other conferences such as the Big 12. Then I'm not even if Utah is open to looking at the Big 12, I'm not sure if the Big 12 would want to add them because they already have BYU, which is a bigger brand in the state of Utah and in the Salt Lake City area than University of Utah. So they could add them just to have the BYU Utah rivalry and conference, but who's watching that? Not a ton of people watching that rivalry. Yeah, it is a rivalry game and it allows that game to be in conference, but who knows? The fourth team could be a San Diego State. I could even see possibly a Boise State. Not a lot of people talking about Boise State. Boise State's got a decent football program, and their basketball program's okay. Their biggest thing is academics. Boise State isn't really a great academic institution, so they would need to work on their academics. That's the biggest knock I've heard on Boise State. So the fourth team, it could be a combination of Oregon State. Not really. See, the problem with Oregon State and Washington State is they add nothing to your conference. They are just okay. There's nothing special about Oregon State and Washington State. So it probably it could be a combination of a San Diego State, a Fresno State, a Boise State, Memphis, UNLV, one of those schools, if you want brand loyalty. Now, I've also heard a combination of Arizona, Arizona State, Oregon, because Oregon is getting a lot of money from Nike, from Phil Knight, and pretty much Nike is backing up Oregon. So, but like I said, how loyal is Oregon going to be to the Big 12 when the Big 10 finally is open to expansion and comes calling for Oregon and Washington? And then if Oregon and Washington leave the conference, then you're back at 14 again, and you're basically having to go back to having to look to expand again to 16 to try to keep up with the Joneses with the SEC and the Big 10. I don't know. And it could also work out that if Oregon and Washington leave, then you might look at the ACC schools at the end of their TV deal, which is 2030. even though the ACC schools are still going to be in their TV deal until 2036, it's just more and more likely at that point that ACC school would jump to the Big 12. I'm not saying the Big 12 would get a Clemson or Florida State, but maybe somebody like a Virginia Tech or a what else? Another one, a Louisville, one of those schools. So, anyways, I think that's the next thing they'd have to do is if the Big 12 decides to expand to 14, just go after Arizona. If not Arizona, go after UConn. If UConn doesn't want to jump, then it's a hodgepodge of San Diego State, Memphis, and UNLV. Yeah, that's another thing about UNLV's. Their athletic program is in bad shape, but it allows the Big 12 to be in Las Vegas. That's the reason UNLV is being brought up a lot. If they decide to go to 16 teams, if they want the crown jewel prizes, go for Arizona, Washington, Oregon. But if they want brand loyalty or basically people that's going to stick with the Big 12, go with Arizona, Arizona State, and first try to go after San Diego State. If not San Diego State, I would say Boise State. Because that's the thing that I don't get is there's not a lot. I would say Boise State because they've had a reputation with their football program. If not, and their basketball program's okay. If not Boise State, a Memphis again. If not Memphis, South Florida. There's a whole bunch of Group of 5 teams that they can go down. That's the tricky part about finding 3 teams that will stick with you. Not saying Utah's out of the question, but Utah's kind of giving the bird to the Big 12. So, anyways, if you enjoyed my content, this type of content versus the schedule predictions I usually put out, go ahead and give a like, comment, subscribe. I'll do more of these type of videos, giving my opinions on realignment news and that type of jazz, because it seems like everybody likes these opinion-based videos versus these schedule predictions where it's like, okay, this team wins, this team loses, that type of deal. Anyways, I plan on starting a Discord server for the season. Let me know down in the comments if you're interested in the Discord server. If you are, I'll post in a community tab the link to the Discord server. So, what I plan to do with the Discord server is be basically a community of us, talk about college football, the Heisman race, playoffs, yada yada yada. In a little Discord server. Plus, you can get my instant reactions versus me having to get on a computer and, have to make a video, edit it, and send it out onto YouTube. That takes a little bit of time for me. So, if you want, I might do that with the instant reactions and have everybody talk about. You come on board and you talking about latest in college football, college basketball, the Heisman race, playoffs, injuries. I hope not any injuries, but they do happen. And plus, I plan on doing a weekly pick'em contest on the Discord server for cash prizes. What I mean by cash prizes is the more that enter in the contest, the more I could put up for the winner of the pick'em contest. So, if you are interested in that, just let me know. Let me know down in the comments. If I can get enough people that are interested in joining, I'll post the link in the community tabs where you can click on it and basically come on in and have some fun with me and other fans of the channel. So, once again, thank you for watching. I do appreciate the likes. I do appreciate the subscribers. I couldn't do this without you. I know it looks like a small channel and a small community, like, you only got 15 subscribers. Yeah, well, everybody started at zero at some point on their channel, even the big YouTubers. So, um, I thank all of you for taking the time watching my videos. I thank all of you for liking them. I thank all of you for subscribing to the channel. It goes a long way. I do appreciate that. Yeah, I do appreciate that, as it gives me the motivation to keep going and keep putting up the content. Because if you're willing to spend your time watching me and subscribing to the channel and liking the channel, then I'm obligated myself to make more videos to keep y'all entertained. So, as always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.